great. It's another cheese board finished for another customer. Don't worry, brie happy. Yeah, sounds good to me. Nice bit of brie. Right, well now I've got about 6 of these to do. They're all exactly the same. The only problem is, every time I place them in, I can never put them in exactly the same place. The little clips that come from XTool, using the slats, aren't really designed to position things, they're more to hold things down when you're cutting them. And these little wooden pieces I cut out are okay for spacing, but again, no good for repeatability. So what I need to do is create something where I can put this in exactly the same position each time, so I don't need to realign the image for every single board that I'm engraving. So it'd be pretty cool if we could maybe design something in CAD, 3D print it, and then we could slot it in either between the slats or on top of the slats to align the block in the X and the Y axis, so that it kind of, we've got a repeatable position for, so we only need to set it once in effect, as opposed to multiple times that I'll have to do today. So maybe I'll pause for a little bit in laser engraving and do a bit of CAD, but first I suppose I need to make some measurements. So, right, okay, cool. So I've got my calipers. So I guess now, how wide are these slats? Because I'd want something that sits over the top of these. So, okay, so 5mm. Cool. Then the gap in between is, let's see, not very good for the camera. See, what's the gap in between? Oh, there we go. Gap in between is 20, 21. Oh, hang on. Oh, it's about 21.5. So if we make something that's kind of 21.5 that drops down between the slats, and then maybe spans the slats, maybe spans 3 of the slats, so we've got something that we can butt up against that's not going to move, that's not going to wibble around, and then maybe something that we can put in this axis as well, so we can set the X and Y position of the board. So most of the boards that I make are around about 15mm. What's this one? So, yeah, 15.5. And this one, yeah, 15. So it's around about 15mm. So I want to be able to leave them in place. So it has to be lower than 15mm. I guess we'll give it a go and see what we can make. Okay, so let's see if we can design something to make the process a little bit more repeatable then when we do multiple boards, we can get everything lined up. So I guess first thing, I'll make some sort of block for X alignment. So I use Onshape to do my 3D CAD. One, because it's easy. 2, it's free. And then I use that with a Bamboo Labs 3D printer. So you can see some of the things I've made in the past to aid the ventilation on the XTool laser cutter. So I'll create a new design in here. So, and this isn't a how-to guide for Onshape. This is just the tool that I use, and there's probably better ways to do this maybe. So let's go X axis alignment block. Okay. Right, so we've got the measurements. I think it was 5mm for the width of the slats. The gap between the slats is 21.5mm. So let's just make a simple block. I guess we want it to be fairly rigid, so if it can go into at least 2 of the gaps, then that'll kind of give it some kind of remove its propensity to move around and wobble, because again we want repeatability. So I'll create a sketch. I'll do it top down so it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. So I guess we'll start off first with and just create a rectangle. Now, a lot of the boards that I make are about 15mm high, so I don't want this to stand proud of the board. And maybe if we make it so it's kind of half the height of the board, that'll probably kind of work pretty well. So we'll do it at 7.5mm high, and then so it's 5mm between the slats, 21.5mm between the slats. So maybe if we do an overhang on either side of where it drops into the gap, so it'll be spanning 3 slats and then 2 legs, so 21.5 twice and 3/5, so 58mm. Yeah, 58mm. So 58mm wide. Cool. Right, so just do a construction line now, and that'll be 5mm. So this will be where it kind of overhangs the. If you think about it, looking at it side on, this is where it overhangs the first slat by 5mm. Then have the leg that drops down between the slats. So that's obviously going to be 21.5mm. Want it to be nice and snug, no wobble about. And I guess we could do that 20mm, so 2 centimeters down. So that should give it some depth. So it's kind of just a little bit. I suppose it's just a little bit kind of deeper than the slats. And then we've got another construction line. It's another 5mm. And then we'll have another leg. That's 20. Oops. Button. Dimension. It's 21.5 as well. And we'll just. Cool. And then hopefully, if we dimension this, yeah, that's 5mm. So it worked. Okay, so I probably don't want to print this as a solid piece of plastic. It doesn't need to be particularly strong. It just needs to be rigid enough that it's not going to wobble about. And I don't want to use all of my 3D filament to print this, where it doesn't need any real structural strength. So I want to make this hollow. So let's just remove some of these lines and kind of tidy this up a little bit. Remove that as a construction line, make that as a real line. Okay, so we can see now Onshape told us this is contiguous line, so it showed up as a full object. Now what I want to do is go to the offset tool, highlight all of this, and I guess I want to that'll do. So I want to take that in 3mm. Okay. So see what I'm doing here. I'm just making this a little bit hollow when I print it. So with 3D prints anyway, you get the perimeter, and then you get infill. You can get different infills. Normally I go for about between 10 and 15% infill. But this way, I'm saving all this space here. So I think that looks good. What I want to do is just give it a little bit of strength. I'll do some internal fillets. Don't know that big. 2mm internal fillets. I guess here as well. The edges of the slats at the top are pointed, so this shouldn't interfere. And then we'll do these bits as well. So I want to pick it up, it's all nice. And I want to keep this face square. Okay, so that should do for the sketch. And I guess now all I need to do is just Actually, let's go back, just so it looks pleasing to the eye as well. Just and again, there's probably a better way to do this. Okay, cool. Right, so let's extrude it. So we want it to be fairly chunky. We don't want things to wobble around on it. So let's do it as 5 centimeters, so 50 mil. So extrude that by 50 millimeters. Okay. So the idea is that this will just drop down into the slats, and then we've got a side there to reference off. And I guess it might be quite good as well. So if I'm using this more than once, so you know when I come back to it, I want to make sure that I'm always putting this block into the same gap. So I'll just put an arrow on this top face that I can then mark off on the laser. So I always put this block back in the same place. So I create another sketch on the top, and we'll just make a little arrow, I think. So it's always good in Onshape that if you go along an edge, it'll show you where the center point is. There we go. And we can point to the arrow there. So let's just dimension this. I guess 45 millimeter. This is 2 millimeters, maybe. Yeah, nice. Okay, create another one. This line. Oops, there we go. By 2. And I will just do an arrow there. Cool, then that'll do. And now we'll just extrude that just a millimeter, I think. There we go. So I think that should do for the piece we want to make. Now, what I'd also like to do is so this will be good for the x-axis, but it'd probably be quite good if we can do something for the y-axis as well. So let's just we'll just export this, so I can put it into Bamboo Labs later and print it out. So we'll call this the x-axis alignment block. Cool. Right, and now let's maybe do a y-axis block. Okay, so we've got the x-axis, let's make the y-axis. So with the y-axis we want to make it wider and not as deep. So we probably want to make it at least twice as wide. In fact, yeah, we'll do twice as wide. So we'll make a copy of this one, so we're not starting from scratch again, and we'll just modify the x-axis. Okay, so okay, there we go. Right, okay, so let's modify this then. So probably need to this. I'll edit this initial drawing. Now, how can we do this? Okay, so what we can do, we can mirror all of this and make it twice as wide. So that's fairly straightforward. So we've got 5.5 millimeter here overhang. So if we do a line, we'll take it. So if we make this 2.5 millimeters, that's cool. Now, what we need to do is mirror this. So we'll select the mirror line, which is here. Let's select all the pieces that we want to mirror. E. There we go. So we've now got one twice as wide, and all we need to do is a little bit of tidy up now. So we can get rid of this line, and we can just fill this in. So that should be it. We've got our, oh, hang on. Get rid of this line as well. Oh, we're done. Okay. Now, actually thinking we don't want it to be all saggy, do we? So let's just tweak this a little bit. Get rid of this here, and we'll put these. Okay, so I talked about the fact that you can just reference something. There we go. Now we'll set that to there. We'll do another line from there to there. And oops. Oh, that's 2, don't we? Yeah. Cool. So now we just need to extrude this. And again, we'll just do it at 20. Cool. Right, and let's do the same as what we did on the last one. I will just create an arrow on the top. So, new sketch, line, span the middle. There it is. Dimension it really quickly. 45, 10, 2, another one, same axis, go, 10, oops, 2, I'll just do, oops, there we are, just extrude that. Oops, easy. Okay, so that's the y-axis. So we'll just export that now. Cool. Well, let's go and put these into Bamboo Labs and start to print them. Okay, cool. So we've created the 2 alignment blocks. So let's make them. So I'm in Bamboo Studio. I've got a Bamboo Labs 3D printer that I'm going to create these on. I've just loaded it up with some Elegoo PLA. So we've got plenty of filament to make these. So let's just tidy it up. So that looks good to go. So slice it. See if we've got any errors. No, looks good. Print it. We'll put the time lapse on so we can see them being built. And let's send the job and see how it comes out. So it looks like it's going to take. an hour and 25 minutes. Well, all done. Look okay? Guess we should go and give them a try. Right, so we're back, and let's see. So, they look pretty good. Come straight off the bed, still slightly warm. Only slightly, it's pretty cold out today. And let's see, so first thing, did he fit? Oh, look at that, perfect. And then okay, this might work. First, okay, that's a bit slippy, but maybe if we have it down here, which is normally where I'd engrave. Does that work? Maybe. I don't think that's quite deep enough. So if we've got this one in place, yeah, that kind of slips up there. So I think this one is perfect. I think maybe we need to think about this one and how we can improve it. So perhaps reduce. Oh no, actually, nope. I think we're good. Yeah. So if we hold it in place, yeah, I think that's going to work. I think maybe in version 2 of this, what we might do is extend this top part, so we've got so it sits on top of the shelf here, and that will stop it from canting over. But I think for now, as long as I'm careful when I put it in there, I think we should be good to go. Or no, that doesn't fit. So I think we should be good to go with that. So I think that's it. So thanks very much for watching. First video, learning still, but I'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much.